it might take a moment for things to download here, so I will let you.
So we're going to do the report out from closed session. So we're reporting out at 9:46 a.m. that staff were provided direction to proceed with hiring a permanent bus driver for the 4 counties transit bus system, and that staff direction was provided for negotiations, for pending negotiations.
Okay, we've all heard the recommendation out of close. Mover and seconder for that. Latham and Cameron, all in favor?
But we're still missing actually Teresa at the moment.
We're still missing Teresa, yeah.
Let's make sure she's.
That's a yes for me.
We've
There
got
she
a motion moved and second, Teresa, for in-camera report out. We're at the point of calling a vote. Are you in favor? I guess, did you hear the recommendation?
That
Okay, would you read-
we reported that staff were provided direction to proceed with hiring a permanent bus driver for the 4 counties transit bus system, and that staff were provided direction regarding negotiations.
I believe it was moved by Cameron and Latham. All in favor of those recommendations?
Yes.
That is carried.
So we're at adoption of the minutes. Are you okay with continuing, sir? Are you ready to go?
I'm still downloading the agenda. It's
So that the minutes of the council meeting on June 24th, 2021, and the special meeting of council on June 29th, 2021, be adopted as circulated and printed.
So moved.
moved by Rowe, seconded by Cameron. All in favor?
Yes.
That is carried.
So we're at the point for our CBO's activity report. She is unable to attend today. She was wall-to-wall inspections this morning. So if you have any questions, let me know and we can pass them on to her. Otherwise, it is from the West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Jackie Morgan Bunin, CBO, regarding the building permit report for June 2021 for information purposes.
Okay, let's take a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Latham, seconded by Talia. Does anybody have any specific questions that they would like to receive from CBO?
No.
Okay, seeing none, all in favor of that motion?
Yes.
And that is carried. Next
So now
item.
we're at Chief Macarthur's monthly report.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning, Your Worship. Well, and how's council this morning?
Good. Everybody seems to be in pretty good mood this morning, so carry on, sir.
That's good. So yeah, you'll find my monthly report there in the package. I guess the main thing I'll highlight, it was obviously a busy month for responses, because you'll see there was a total of 21 calls, 21 incidents. So nothing, luckily nothing, not too many serious calls, but definitely kept them busy in the month of June with incidents.
Hey, you all see the report there? Any specific concerns regarding June's report?
Councillor Cameron has her hand up, sir.
Okay, Angela. I've lost you. There you are. Angela?
Morning, Chief Macarthur. So I noticed in our accounts payable report that the TVs and mounts were in for the fire department. So are you still using Synergy and Who's Responding, the two programs, or have you switched to Synergy? And can you give council a quick update on how that's going?
Sure, yeah. So we are still kind of using both. We're really, to be honest, we're probably ready to phase out Synergy. So we have about a month ago, maybe, yeah, I say about a month ago, we started using Who's Responding. So we've got a tablet for each pumper, and one tablet has been in the truck, and one we're waiting to get the mount in the truck. So we're still kind of implementing them, because the other challenge that we've realized is, and I've contacted Cecil for the IT part of it, but we need to get internet, like a booster basically in the hall, so that the tablet will pick up the internet when it's in the hall, and also short base power so the tablets can be plugged in and charging. So we're 75% implemented, and yes, the monitors are in, and the mounts are in. And same thing, we've got to get make sure that they can pick up the Wi-Fi signal to have it fully implemented. So we've got a decent number of members using it already, but it has not been reviewed, I guess, with the whole department yet. So that'll be upcoming in a training session, probably the first week of August, to just kind of review. Some are pretty familiar with it, but some it's pretty new to. So we're still in transition mode, but I would think the next few weeks will be hopefully fully switched over.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I do have a recommendation that West Dog Council hereby receives the report from Jeff Macarthur, Fire Chief, RE June monthly fire report for information purposes. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Talia, seconded by Leatham. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, there's one thing. I just want council to be aware that last year we received a green light from MTO to recover expenses for our trucks going to 401. In 2021 budget, we budgeted $10,000 in that revenue. And as of now, as of today, we're at $13,000 of recovered costs. So I just want to thank the fire chief for keeping up and forwarding expenses to our staff. So we can process them in a timely manner and receive funds back.
Okay.
Super.
That's good news. Now, Jeff, I have a question. If fire departments are required to participate in EDR traffic direction, does that qualify under MTO's rules?
No, I don't believe so. And very, very generally speaking, we fire departments don't get involved in traffic control per se. So that would be, as far as I'm concerned, that would be strictly an OPP task. But of course, if there's a secondary collision, which is always a possibility with the EDR, I don't believe, I don't know the exact conditions, legal conditions behind the EDR, but I don't believe that would be a claimable call.
Reason I asked you a couple of nights ago, the 400 highway was closed up in this area, and the fire departments were utilized to maintain traffic control. There wasn't any OPP present. It was just fire trucks and firemen directing traffic around the accident scene, getting them back to the closest entrance back to the 400. So I was just wondering if that was a billable expense if necessary.
And that was off, sorry, just to clarify, that was off the 400, like they were on the EDR doing traffic control?
The 401 was closed and the fire department were directing traffic to circumvent around the accident.
Okay, no, that's interesting. I've never come in along this 401 corridor. I've never come up on that situation, to be honest. OPP has always looked after that, and if they don't have the resources, then in my experience, they've reached out to either Curlian, depending where it was, or the local roads department sometimes as well. So
maybe just a question to ask. I know that we don't have a whole lot of spare firemen. Usually they're all on the call, and but just for our own satisfaction to know if that was is billable hours that we can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll see what I can find out.
We have a motion on the floor, sir. We need a vote.
Okay, I think it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of Jeff's report being filed for information purposes, and that is carried. Okay, next item up, automatic aid agreement. Jeff, you want to lead us through that?
Sure. Thanks again, Your Worship and Council. So yeah, I've kind of tried to provide a little bit of background, and some of council's probably more aware of the past history than myself, but so feel free to obviously correct anything in there, but from the information I've obtained through the members of the West Elgin Fire Department and also on Wardsville, I believe in the past there was a fire board agreement. And there was, when I started last year, there was a little bit of unknown in the department whether there was still an agreement in place. So I did a little digging, and there was nothing that Magna or Jana knew about, and I checked on the Southwest Middlesex end, and there was the same. There was nothing since the fire board formally that they're aware of. So I'm just looking for council to kind of provide direction, I guess, to proceed with this and to draft an agreement together. Put an agreement together. So as we're aware, BD Manor is what we consider a vulnerable occupancy. So that's kind of in a way, our highest risk occupancy for sure in the municipality, given the mobility challenges and just age, et cetera, of the residents there. So, and as we're obviously, as council's aware of too, it is a long drive, to be frank, to get up to BD Manor. So I put the distance there just for reference. And I think it's important that we can pursue this and talk to Wardsville about what they would do. Automatic aid, basically, if there was a call to the BD Manor, Wardsville and West Elgin would be dispatched at the same time. So obviously Wardsville would arrive much sooner than West Elgin, and hopefully there's no fire, there's no situation, but and then once West Elgin arrived on scene, ideally they would relieve Wardsville, and Wardsville will go back to the station and back into service. So that's the recommendation for BD Manor, and also for approximately a 3-kilometer kind of radius on the north end of the municipality around Wardsville. So we would have to determine the exact addresses and what we wanted to be included in that. But that's the recommendation this morning.
Richard.
Well, obviously, I think it's a grand thing, although I stand to gain by the look of that. I'm not even looking at that. I'm looking at the speed which things could happen at BT Haven, which is most important. And so I think it's a grand thing. They're just over the river. If they could, 5 minutes would make such a difference to getting people out of that building. So yeah, it's a grand thing. Thank you.
Just quickly, as a bit of history, yes, there was a fire board between the Aldborough Township at that time and the village of Wardsville for that coverage. The coverage went, I believe, all the way up the Johnson line from, it was quite a large area. So with the amalgamation that took place at that time, I think the wisdom of the day was that being involved with capital equipment purchases, both in Wardsville and Rodney, were maybe a little more than what West Elgin was wanting to take on. So at that point in time, the fire board was dissolved, and for the last almost 25 years, Rodney has been covering the northern part of the municipality by Wardsville, and all in all, it has worked very well. But that was then, this is now, and I think that certainly reaching out to Southwest Middlesex Department, firemen all, no matter where they're from, want to provide the best service they can. So I think that moving forward to this, of having a mutual aid agreement with Southwest Middlesex for that area, probably is a good thing, and certainly I think that agreement will reciprocate. If Southwest Middlesex is in a situation where they require mutual aid, we can respond to them in kind. So I think you're on the right track here, Jeff, of modernizing this over the borders agreements, and so that's going to be coming forward when you finalize the agreement with them.
Yes, and obviously it's just been, I've been back and forth with the Southwest Middlesex Fire Chief and the station chief as well a little bit, but yes, we'd have to obviously formalize and put together something that works for both parties and then bring it back to council.
So council comfortable giving our fire chief direction to negotiate this agreement?
Sir, just before we get too far, Councillor Talia had her hand up. Do you still have a question?
No, through the chair, it was answered. Thank you, though.
Any other questions?
Do you want me to read the resolution for you, sir?
Well, I see the resolution here. I'm just, I think the main question, it doesn't say in the resolution, direction to staff to, okay, it does say so. Okay, with that, we'll read this recommendation that West Ogden Council hereby receives the report from Jeff Macarthur, Fire Chief, and that West Ogden Council hereby provides direction to staff to draft an agreement with Southwest Middlesex for automatic aid coverage to include fires and alarms sounding at Beatty Manor and structure fires for the area of approximately 3 kilometers of Wardsville Station, which would include areas of Beatty Line, Lawson Road, Gibb Line, and Linden Road. Mover and seconder for that recommendation. Moved by Talia and seconded by Leatham. All in favor of that recommendation?
Yes.
And that is carried. Okay, very good. Just to add to the bit of history to that also, Jeff, at one time there was part of the municipality in the northwest corner that was originally covered by Bothwell. So
Interesting.
That's
Yeah,
well,
it's
you gotta roll-
interesting how some agreements have come and gone and yeah, sometimes we take a second look at things. So, yeah.
That's right. Well, I mean, that I've been around here too long to remember all these historic things that have gone on in the past. So, all right, with that, we'll move on to your next report, Jeff, Fire Inspector.
Sure. Thank you once again. And this report kind of outlines a couple things, I guess. Some of councils probably know of Bill Todd. So Bill has recently retired from St. Thomas Fire after he started actually with Central Elgin as a volunteer firefighter, and then has been with the city, was with the city of St. Thomas for several years until recent retirement. And he is currently conducting some inspections for at least 2 other municipalities in Elgin. I'm not sure besides that, but on an as needed basis. So the recommendation this morning is to put an agreement together with Bill Todd, again, to bring back to council for his fire inspection and investigation services. So and on this, and again, that's on an as needed basis. And as mentioned down in the report, the bylaw now in West Elgin specifies complaint and request inspections only. So, and that's been, I think, working quite well. It's something for council to consider, and further information can be brought forward in a later report. But something that we would recommend looking at is changes to the prevention policies. So I guess to summarize it, complaint and request can work very well, but if there's other concerns in the municipality, and they don't have to be, if there's serious concerns, and we do have some rights to investigate them, but outside of that, it makes it very tough to just to make sure that code compliance is being followed, and that because I mean, everyone knows there's many businesses and occupancies in both villages and within the municipality that we hope and would like to make sure that they're code compliant. And again, just to say code compliant doesn't mean we'd be going in to write orders and set fines. It's really about cooperation and education and just working with the community. So there's kind of 2 parts to that report, but the main recommendation is to put together an agreement with Bill Todd to be available for inspections as needed.
Questions for Jeff on that?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Bill Todd. I've worked with him on other things, and he'd be an excellent inspector for sure. My questions are, who's done inspections in West Elgin prior to this? I would have thought it would have been our chief or perhaps the fire prevention officer now.
Yeah, great question. So, and I spoke with the deputy chief just the last couple of nights, kind of just briefly about this report that it was coming to council, and a couple of his comments were, and not to quote him exactly, but basically that finding someone in the past to do inspections sometimes has been a challenge just with time constraints, and I do believe that, and I do know because Bill Todd has done at least a couple inspections in West Elgin before. Now, I don't think there was anything formal in place at that point, but just I think just to maybe alleviate some concerns at the time, and the fire prevention officer, which is of course now John Campbell. I did actually discuss this proposal with him, and he was quite supportive because he has looked after a few inspections, and I think has even assisted Bill Todd in the past with a couple inspections that have been done. So I guess to kind of answer your question, there hasn't been a lot of consistency in the past with that. There's been a few different, including Bill Todd, there's been a few different inspectors kind of utilized, but nothing concrete in place.
Angela.
Couldn't find the mute button. Through the chair. So I noticed in the past we have paid for inspector training and different things like that when we've had previous, not yours, but other reports. So is this more of like a shadowing kind of program that we're looking to do with some of the training that's going to be implemented? Like is this part of, your strategic planning that you're considering on bringing forward in the future with your master planning for the fire department, because we're kind of getting these ad hoc requests one-off in the past couple of months, so I'm kind of looking for a little bit of a future plan for the fire department, and just wondering whether we need to be doing something strategic in the future rather than these individual ad hoc requests that we keep getting.
And sorry, just to clarify, the ad hoc request, is that, you mean that regarding specific inspections or staff?
Just in general, lately, I noticed the last little bit, we've been getting a lot of ad hoc things. We put in the training officer and the prevention officer and various things. So I just noticed that we just keep getting ad hoc things, and I'd like more of a strategic plan. And now with this, so I'm just wondering what your thoughts are going forward with that.
Sure. And and the fire prevention officer position. So the job description focuses on prevention and public education within the community. And then also it is mentioned in the job description to assist with inspections and investigations when necessary. So the biggest asset with Bill Todd, and I mean, I think given recent retirement, I think we can probably all agree that Bill Todd won't be looking for extra inspection work for forever, but I'm sure for now, for a few years, I think it's a great fit. And the biggest asset with him is obviously experience. So for him to work with the FPO or any other members that have taken training, and on the note of training with prevention and code compliance, it's a great thing for any firefighter. Some departments, generally large departments, but some of them are now requiring that as part of your recruit training, just to have the firefighters aware of what to look for when they're at calls, to kind of spot any fire life safety hazards, and more than, I guess that kind of rolls into that the firefighters kind of entails so much more than just fire suppression in today's world. But yeah, so that would be, so Bill Todd, I think, would be an excellent fit, especially with his experience and knowledge to work alongside with the FPO and any other members of the department that wanted to. And I think at this point, the frequency is with request and complaint only, the frequency for inspections is fairly low in a given year.
If I could ask one other question.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
I just wasn't sure when I looked at the report whether the costs for this fire inspection would be absorbed within the current budget.
I'll try to answer that. Maybe Magda can add or correct me, but if I'm wrong. So any inspector costs, we'd have to obviously bring that back to council for approval on exact costs. But the fees bylaw, which was just updated for 2021, if I recall correctly, in regards to fire inspections, does allow the inspections to be billed out at $125 per inspection. So does that help answer the question?
Oh, so in other words, that would be billed to the person requesting the inspection?
Yes, that's correct. So that's I'd say maybe not full cost recovery on every single inspections, but on routine inspections, I'd say that covers the majority of the costs.
Okay.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but I think that you've moved forward as West Ogden Fire Chief. It seems to me that your method of operation here is to identify some gaps that are in the existing department and trying to fill those gaps in as we move forward. And at some point in time, it will be kind of a full service fire department that our residents certainly can trust and be confident that it's providing the best service that we can. And so as you identify them, you bring them forward, and I think that's maybe a good thing, moving things along, maybe a little bit slower, but bringing your staff along as best you can with you.
Yeah, and we have obviously some great resources within the fire department, but it's important to remember too that at the end of the day, I mean, we rely on volunteer or paid on call firefighters that I have them, and they pretty much all have other full-time occupations and other commitments. So it's trying to find kind of that balance to utilize the resources that are available and that we have.
And I think if the fire service has changed dramatically over my time here, because at one point in time, many of the volunteer firefighters worked in the community and were readily available to answer the call when necessary. But that has changed over time, that there are a lot of people that are willing to donate their time as volunteer firefighters, but there are lots of times over the course of the day that they're not available. So putting extra burdens on them is maybe just one step too far, in the fact that either we don't have those individuals or it's difficult to have them perform services when the public wants them. Okay, any more questions on that? Everybody comfortable with Jeff's recommendation? That being said, that West Ogden Council receives the report from Jeff Macarthur, Fire Chief, and that the West Ogden Council hereby approve using Bill Todd, the fire inspector and investigation services, and that council approve staff to draft an agreement for these services. Over and seconder for that. Moved by Leatham, seconded by Tallier. All in favor? And
Yes.
that is great. Okay, I guess that's all for you, Jeff. Have a great rest of the day and talk to you soon.
Thank you, Council. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, going to move on to Operations Community Services. I'll read out the recommendation that West Ogden Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations Community Services, for information purposes. Mover and seconder for that recommendation. Tallier and Leatham. Any questions on that before we call the vote? Seeing none. Anything you want to highlight in that, Jeff or Lee?
Well, good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. I don't think there's anything. I think that everybody's happy that it's quit raining for a change. That's been the hot topic in the last 6 weeks in West Elgin. So hopefully things, we get a chance to dry out here now, and we are, like I said, I'll bring some additional information back. We are still investigating a couple areas of concern, and but for the most part, I think that as we've explained to the residents over the last few weeks, with rains being 4 or 6 inches at a time in a very short period of time, most of the problems that we did have is capacity related. We just the system was overwhelmed, and that's where we had the trouble. So I think that's pretty well it for June.
Just kind of on that note, we have had 2 requests for some drainage work. Unfortunately, the province in their wisdom changed the procedure, and we cannot up and appoint an engineer for till 30 days after we provide notice to Conservation Authority. So you guys will get some more drainage reports that are a little bit related to this next council.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, that will call the vote on Lee's report. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, that's carried. Next item up, Finance Administration, Magna CAO Treasurer Delegation of Authority bylaw.
So I'm going to just present this a little bit. It's just a background for everybody. We are required to have information on things that are delegated. That chart, I realize, is pretty long. The majority of what is on there is already done by staff without going to you. It's just we need it together, and we need it. We need to update it, because I don't know if you noticed that policy. It lists people such as that have been passed away for a number of years and not in charge of things. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about specific authorities or anything. I see Councillor Rowe has her hand up, sir.
Yes, Bonnie.
Yeah, through the chair, just to clarify then, obviously there are many authorities listed here. Am I correct in assuming that the bylaw that's listed there is staying the same? It's just the Schedule A that's changing?
The bylaw will be updated with appropriate references, but yeah, the schedule, the bylaw that's listed in there will be repealed with a new bylaw saying this is what the delegated authority is. That attachment, that bylaw just approves that policy. That's all it did. The new bylaw will refer to, actually, so if I'm clear, wait a minute, that bylaw won't be, you're right, that bylaw won't be there. The policy part of that will stay. It's just the schedule that will be repealed and will be replaced with a new bylaw, which is the Schedule A I have, which lays out authorities. Yes. Sorry if that was confusing.
Yeah, it was just a bit. So essentially,
the policy will stay the same on
right?
how you delegate authorities. There will be a new bylaw that is a cover page, because when you add a new schedule, it has to be a new bylaw that says council will, under authorities, under listed authorities, delegate the following duties as required by the Municipal Act. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so my second question is, are there any that stand out for you that are changes from what is happening right now?
A couple things. One of them, we actually have a deal going today where designating an event and allowing approval for liquor licenses. So for instance, a slight change in the liquor license for the Elgin International Club for an event. That now comes to council. And right now, so I have to go to council. She luckily got it into me in time that I could go to council. under this, I would write the letter supporting the event going forward, and then notify you at the next council meeting that this is happening. So that's like a temporary, the issuance of a letter of no objection for temporary license, liquor license extensions. And I have to get a resolution from you guys to ask for short-term for the set fine. So for instance, with the animal control bylaw and changing with that set fine, I had to have you approve that in the resolution. This delegates me the authority to, if we write a bylaw, we can create the set fines. You would obviously see the set fines because regardless, council has to approve a set fine, but you're just letting me write the letter to the minister to do it. Tax write-offs, she does them now. It's not anything huge. I'm kind of going through all of this. Right now, signing of compliance documents for some things like approving the releasing of the conveyances. So I don't know if you remember, but probably about a year ago, we had a 1-foot conveyance that we had to give a 1-foot conveyance to a holder to allow for their location of their septic system as part of a rezoning. That would be automatic, that we would allow if the planner deems it part of the zoning, you wouldn't have to get specific approval to do that. It's not, it happens rarely, but it is one of those things. We right now, any of the telecommunications towers, the letters of conveyance, we've had 4 of them in the last little while. We've had to come to you guys to get approval. That would just automatically, we could put them up, write a letter. Obviously, you would get a report that we've done them, but we don't have to go to council before we can write the letter. It just stops holding things up. And I believe that would be it that I can just think of off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Just over the whole situation here, and certainly not wanting to belabor it, having just seen the 2 days ago, is there any appetite to just possibly defer a decision on this until we can get our head around this a little bit closer?
Oh no, yeah, that's totally it. There's no need. That's why we don't have a bylaw on this meeting. We wanted you guys to read it. Even if you don't approve it now, any sort of direction, if you want to bring it back, we can bring this back at an upcoming meeting. There is a lot, we totally understand, but it's just something we think it needs to clear up. Once we looked at that policy and realized people like Gordon McFadden were delegated authorities and he's no longer living. And when we were doing it, we figured we might as well do it. We did base this off of a recent one passed at Southold. And
Right.
Councillor Tellier has her hand up, sir.
Okay, I don't even see her on my screen. There she is. Go ahead, Tress.
Through the chair, no, I think it's a great idea. They've updated this and looked at that, and thank you for your time for this. And yes, I'd like to digest it and go over it and have it maybe not the August meeting. I don't know, maybe the first one in September, whatever we can fit in the timeline. But what I'm worried about is a lot of times I don't know what's going on. Some stuff doesn't come to council, and residents' perception is that we know every single aspect of every piece of paper and every email that goes through staff's hands. And that would be time consuming, not a great use of funds, so many other things that just wouldn't happen. So I don't know how, there's a lot of things that would be great to know ahead of time. So I don't know how we kind of fix or look at that angle as well. So I'm just thinking out loud, to be honest. I'm just trying to think that,
completely understandable. Things move quickly, and this is the problem. And so for instance, last council, that approval to allow writing that letter to approve to allow the liquor license for or to be open on Canada Day. I had 20 minutes to prepare that and get that out, right?
Exactly.
Because he needed it right away. So we can't always come to council. We try. Magda and I, if you've noticed, we put in a monthly report because we realized we probably were the only department not putting in a monthly report. So this one covers a lot. From now on, we will be doing them regularly. But there are sometimes some things we just, yeah, we can't always tell you ahead of time. And you're not
Okay.
here every day. It's just, it's
No,
hard. Sometimes we don't even know everything, right? It's one of those, it's hard. I'm not
Yeah,
quite
it's
sure.
not really reasonable that we would know everything. There's a reason why there's municipal staff, and those are their vocations, their careers. So yeah, I'm just wanted to put that out there of, I'll give an example. I guess before the pool opened, there was some issue with the pool. I didn't need to know about the issue with the pool. It wasn't my realm. And people were, well, how come you're not doing your job and know about the issue with the pool? Because we have staff, and that's what staff are there for, is to figure out whatever was pumped or whatever wasn't working with the pool. So yeah, I just wanted to air that, and that we do have staff, and that's what you're there for, and that's what you're trained and your career is. And we are not always privy to every single piece of paper and every email that goes through us. So I think this is a great use of people's time and a great use of just getting everything organized and in place where it needs to be and should have already been. So thank you for that.
Yeah, like for instance, technically, without this bylaw, every lottery license I issue actually needs to come to council. We don't do that.
Yeah, we'd be here till midnight.
This week alone, I've issued 4. So yeah.
If you brought every single thing through us.
Yeah.
Duncan would be swatting bugs by 6 o'clock and there'd be nothing left for him. So yeah, we would have everything go through us. Is just not reasonable whatsoever.
Mr. Mayor, if I could mention, so basically this is just for council's information for now to read, digest, and perhaps down the road, if we could kind of down together and list the things that are very important to council and that what they know ahead of time. And so, you know, when we actually down the road, when we approve this bylaw, staff is aware of, you know, how to send that information to council, whether we should bring it before or after things are completed. So, you know, for example, tax write-offs, like if we write off $3 of penalty, do you really need to know about it? You know, so that's why we have to go down the list and find out what's important and what's not, and go from there. So before we before council approves this bylaw, I think we need to go line by line and set the expectations.
And yeah, and that's the whole idea. We like Magda wanted to make sure you guys just saw it. Like this is like I said, the majority of this stuff we actually are already doing. So you need to be aware that we're doing this. If you have an issue, or if you want reports on this, or like she said, information. Like for instance, processing of livestock valuations. At one point, council used to actually approve the amount. That was changed a while ago by the province. We fill out the form, send it off. The province tells me how much people are getting. They give us the money, we issue a check.
No, I think this is a very good housekeeping item. So let's, does council have any concern about the direction this is taking? Seeing none, I think that you're probably on the right path. Give us a little time to sit down and we would be get a better understanding from council's perspective. And I think that we can come back, as Magda said, we can go through these if necessary, even if we have to call an extra little meeting or have a little lengthier meeting, or when we get back together in one room, which I think is coming fairly soon, we can dive into this a little bit deeper and give staff direction of what we're concerned about, if anything, and put a bylaw together that allows you guys to get on your work as efficiently as you possibly can. Everybody comfortable with that? That we'll have another discussion about this at another day after we've reviewed it?
Yep.
Yeah, perhaps at a committee of the whole or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I
Sure.
was thinking. We can call a committee of the whole sometime in September.
Yeah. No, good job, guys. I think that this is going to work well for us, and we're looking forward to more information coming, and looking for council's input on all these different categories that are in this list. How do you want to proceed with this then, Madam Clerk?
So West Elgin Council hereby provides direction to staff to bring forward or to host a meeting, a committee of the whole meeting in September to go over this, or to set a date for September.
Mover and seconder for that? Cameron,
moved.
and all in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Next item, Magda, West Elgin Council receives a report from Magda, CAO Treasurer, and Janet Nethercott, RE Administrative Updates for information purposes. Mover and
Like I s-
seconder. report.
Like I said, I don't know if anyone has any questions before we get too far into that. This was kind of an update on what we're doing monthly. It will come monthly like everybody else's monthly reports now.
Oh, cool.
I have a question with regard to the vital statistics.
Sure.
What
ahead.
time frame is that?
That's for this year to date, as up to July 15th.
We've had 198 registered deaths in
So,
West Elgin.
yes, they are not all West Elgin residents. We register deaths for all of Denning's funeral homes.
Oh,
This takes it does take a bit of my time, but they issue their own burial permits. It started as a COVID. The province allowed us to do that for COVID, to give it to funeral homes that meet certain criteria for funeral directors, and they have three of their funeral directors do meet that criteria. So they are able to issue them, and then we register them on their behalf. So I then input them into our computers and mail out Form 17s. It's a lot. It is busy, but yeah, that's why.
and there is a fee for that?
$10 each. We bill them monthly.
Angela.
So as part of your, thank you for this summary. This is great. As part of your monthly report, will you be also summarizing the calls that are going into citywide, or is that something that will come from Mr. Gosnell?
That would be up to Magda.
I know we've
I
asked
thi-
for that in the past.
Yes, citywide, we can report to council reports as well. Yeah, sorted by department. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I guess we need a mover and seconder for that
I have
report,
some
Madam.
other questions.
Yes, Bonnie?
With regard to the blue box item. You've been participating in webinars. Are there changes that are anticipated that will impact West Elgin in
Yes.
terms of
So
those discussions?
at some point, we are going to have to initiate a new a contractor to. We don't have to get out of our contract, but there will be the service provider who will be doing our blue box, and it's called a producer responsibility of officer, who's going to be collecting. And we want to get to the table and discuss with them what services they're providing to our residents. We won't have a lot of say in it, but for rural municipalities especially, this could become an issue. We may end up getting our collection. Right now, we share collection with Dutton Dun, which they get 1 week, we get the other. That's the way the contractor does it. It'll probably stay the same, but that is the one. They can't give us less service than what we currently have, but that's it. We want to be able to be in the know and involved in trying to recruit somebody to collect our recyclables. That's the biggest one we've done recently. We are in actually probably one of the better spots from the last webinar I attended, in that we don't have to get out of a contract. Our contract timing, we have done a really good job and timed it out well, and we have the appropriate outs.
Okay.
But
And I
there
have
will
one
be
other-
changes coming to what they collect. The regulations aren't fully clear, but they are expanding what they collect. There will be changes for residents, and that will be in some ways our responsibility to get that information out to residents.
Okay, and I did have one other question. I've just lost my agenda here, but I'll try and remember it. With regard to the hybrid council meetings.
Yep.
I just wondered how many people you anticipate would be able to be in the West Lawn complex at a time to
12.
run a hybrid meeting.
12 people would be our maximum amount of people in
Okay.
person.
Okay, so you will allow for some public members to be there if they can't access through online?
Yes, that would be the idea. We would keep it stuck to the three senior staff, like Magda, myself, and Lee. Seeing as, often the other staff are out and about, they would probably still join electronically. And then the 5 counselors. So that leaves us at 8. 4 members of the public then could join the meeting in person if they need to.
Okay, thank you.
That's our plan right now. As long as the numbers stay this way, it all depends on what happens with numbers, right?
Understood. That's all
Councillor
my
Tully, yeah, Councillor Tully has her hand up, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
Through the chair, I'm just happy to see the grants process, them being used and being known when things come out and what you're working on. So thank you for that. And my other question is the Service Ontario. I know it's by appointment, and thank you for putting that right front and center, Jana, on the website. It was great thinking. And I'm wondering when or if it's going to not be by appointment. Do we have an idea in the future when we're able to open that up a little more? I realize right now it's staff safety and appointments, and they can book online there with the link. But I just had somebody even ask me today, when we're opening up there. And I know you need time for cleaning between and such. So do you have a time to let me know?
I can answer that question. So currently we are open by appointment only. From the municipal side, stuff is doing well. I think majority of our residents are comfortable with electronic payments, calling the municipality, using our website, using our Dropbox with payments. Service Ontario is a little bit problematic, and I know for sure that we're getting ready for upcoming wave of outstanding transactions. So I was on the conference call with Service Ontario on Monday. So in Ontario, as of Monday, July 19th, there's 5.2 million transactions outstanding in the whole province. They are assigned, Service Ontario assigns approximately 30,000 transactions per terminal per year. In 2019, we were able to process 9,711 transactions. For the next 6 months or 5 months, they are estimating that we should be able to process 4,664 transactions for the rest of the year. So it's going to get really, really busy. With office locked, we are able to keep customers organized. As you know, we don't have, right now we're short in 2 people. We never replaced 2 positions that we have lost last year. So the issue here is if we unlock the door to the public, we'll be getting a wave of Service customers, Service Ontario customers, not municipal customers. as 95% of phone calls that are coming to the municipality are Service Ontario, are related to Service Ontario. So at this point, if council decide, we have two options. We can unlock the door, but we're gonna need to hire perhaps administrative assistant, and the person that will kind of keep things in order. That person would be responsible for booking appointments if necessary, answer Service Ontario calls, making sure that the lineup outside the office is organized. Customers are keeping are socially distanced, they're wearing masks. High-touched areas are sanitized every couple hours or so. So that will require an extra staff. So that's option one. Option two is to keep the door locked and have our staff implement calendar that for those residents that have trouble accessing Service Ontario appointment through website or 1-800 number that I'm hearing there is a lot of issues with that number that nobody answers. Staff is able to do that, but unfortunately they can't do both. So
The other thing is just appointments are helping people not stand out in lines for a long period. I understand not everybody likes them, but the reality is it's what's keeping everybody organized. And if we get a huge lineup of people standing out there because everybody all of a sudden has to get their sticker, it can impact our fire department. It can impact our public works staff because the lineups can, with the social distancing, they have to stand out there. We could, if it's raining, what do we do with people? We don't have anywhere for people to be inside. It's part of the reason that appointments actually, I realize people don't like it, and we too take out in walk-ins if we can, but appointments are needed to keep, you know, it actually benefits people in the long run. And I, you know, staff are working to try and help people get them booked and make them easier.
yeah, so my recommendation would be to keep appointments the way they are and keep the door locked as just for the safety reasons and frustration as well. At this point, we are able, based on current hours, Service Ontario hours, we are able to process 28 appointments Monday and Tuesday per day and 18 on Wednesdays.
That's really reasonable, I think. I mean, I did, when people ask me questions, I say, well, we need time in between for cleaning. It's a small office. We have to keep the staff safe as well. All good points about, you know, what we need to do and how we need to operate that. And then I hadn't thought about that when people are lining up, it's going to be in front of the bays to the fire hall. So that makes sense. So all good reasons to keep the appointments still going. And I kind of like the appointments because when you show up within 5 minutes, hopefully, go in, get your appointment and you leave. So it just kind of works a little better, I would think. But others, I guess, and they're on the fly and they get up that morning and that's where they want to go. So then we're going to have to adjust themselves. Thanks for that, though. I appreciate it.
And Kathy does do her best to work everybody in. It's just not always possible. Yeah. Sir Duncan, Sir Richard has his hand up.
Yeah.
Okay. No, just one thing about if you get large lineups, we have a washroom problem. And they either run across and go under a hedge somewhere, or we have to lose them into the building. So it's another problem, and that shouldn't arise on appointments.
I think last time I was at McNaughton's Licensing Bureau, the sign says by appointment only. And they have lots of space inside for people to social distance and whatnot, but they are still working under the appointment only format. So, I mean, it's not just us, it's wherever you go. Angela, you have a question?
Through the chair, I know I had some calls with some people having some issues with the 1-800 and the online system. I'd spoken to Magda this week, and I believe that that issue has been resolved. And I know not everyone likes appointments and change and everything like that, but unfortunately, I think that if this system is working and preventing lineups, then I'm not in favor of opening up for a free-for-all, and I could just see a problem with the fire department and everything like that, and I don't want to open that can of worms down the road either. So I think we'll just leave it as status quo.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could add, when we say by appointment only, walk-ins are always welcome. Currently, we have approximately 55% of total customers our appointment are the ones that make the appointment, and approximately 45% of total transactions that we are doing here are walk-ins. So, if there is a time that available, Kathy is more than happy to serve those customers.
Okay, well, I have to say that we're probably doing the best we can under the circumstances that we've been given. So, it's just people are going to still have to apply patience because we're not out of the woods yet. Okay, any more on that? Where I've lost my spot there, Madam Clerk. Where are we at?
So we just need a mover and seconder that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Magda Badura, CIO Treasurer, and Janet Nethercott Clerk, administrative updates for information purposes.
Okay,
I'll make that motion, and I really appreciated this update. So thank you very much for it.
And
So
we do apologize. We've been so busy, we hadn't thought to do it. And both of us kind of realized at the last minute, and it will be a monthly thing from now on.
Super.
Okay, have a mover. Do we have a second? Moved by Talia, moved by Rowe, seconded by Talia. All in favor?
Yes.
It's carried. Okay, Magda, do you want to lead us through the 2021 year-to-date financials?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just like I mentioned in my report, second quarter, half of the expenses are there, but there is a lot of transactions that take place in the third quarter and at the year end. But I just want to reassure council that we're in a great financial position. I didn't see any issues or overspend. Everything looks to the budget. Hats off to staff for watching their budgets and being conscious of it.
Very good. Well, with that, we do have a recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Magda, CEO Treasurer, year-to-date financials for information purposes. Any questions to Magda on that? Okay, do I have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Leatham, seconded by Cameron. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get into the next segment here, does everybody like to have a comfort break?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, let's take 5 or so, and we'll see you in a few minutes. I'll get back to my seems to be a busy morning. Got a lot of phone calls and texts coming in this morning. Must be something going on I don't know about. All right, I guess our next item is, do we have any notice of motion this morning? Seeing none.
Wait a minute, sir, you missed Magda's electronic signs. It was the sent out and the addendum. You must be operating. So that's where we're at.
Well, do you want to, instead of me trying to go download that, do you want to, well, I guess I'm gonna have to, you carry on while I get it downloaded up.
So it's basically that West End Council receives a report from Magda Badura re-electronic signs. I'll let her go because she needs some direction on what you want to do.
Yes,
Okay,
so electronic sign, so I'm pretty sure council has been patiently waiting for this report as we set aside $82,000 for the purchase of electronic signs for both villages. So the request for proposal was issued back at the end of June. 7 companies. I sent that request for proposal to 7 companies. And I did receive a great response as 5 of them responded. As you can see, prices go from low to really high. So the lowest proposal was at $83,000 for 16 before HST, and the most expensive one was $140,000 and $140,654. Of 5 companies, the staff and myself, we've selected 3 with more reasonable cost. And so option number 1 is basically 2 type of signs from Excellent Signs and Display. The company is located in London, and they have installed electronic signs in front of Baviera Villa in Dutton. It's a big company. I've received a number of references for them, so very reliable. And basically, well, all companies offer pretty much the same offers, such as they're installing the sign, they're providing with the double screen, illuminated screen. Basically, they're fabricating the sign for both villages. That sign comes with the 5-year of warranty. The only difference is the screen size, which kind of drives the cost up, and I think the design of the sign itself. So the more elaborate sign, the price is higher. So I provided council with the pictures of 3 options available for you to choose. And I'm just waiting for council's decision. I'm gonna leave that up to council to decide which sign would be the most appropriate for both villages.
So from a staff's perspective, do you have a recommendation that you would make known to us?
Well, I do. The council in the past 2 years, we have been talking about signage, not the electronic signage, but even the kind of village signs. We don't have anything nice. We have been talking about signage near 401, similar to what Dutton Dunwich has. At that point, it was out of our financial reach. My recommendation is that both villages need nice signage and a good focal point. And I think now that we have the grant money, this might be our opportunity to get something that residents will enjoy for years to come. And at the same time, keep them up to date with messages. So my recommendation to council would be to go with option 3. That option 3 is offered by Everest Signs. And the cost for both signs would be approximately $120,000 plus HST.
Would you guys like me to share the look of what that sign would on the screen so everyone can see it?
That would be nice.
Okay, I'll share it. Hold on one second. So this is Magda's recommendation using this sign.
Okay,
So we have a couple of hands raised, sir.
yeah, okay, go ahead. Angela?
Bonnie's hand was up first, but okay.
Oh, was it? Yeah, okay. Bonnie?
It doesn't matter, whatever. So just a point of clarification first before I give my preference. So it looks as though Excellent Signs had 2 different kinds of signs in their proposal, 2 different styles, if you would. So we have
Yes.
actually 4 different options there to choose from.
Yes.
And from my perspective, I really like the idea of the village of Rodney and the village of West Larne being on the sign. And I feel that as well as the coat of arms, there needs to be the municipality of West Elgin in the sign as well. So those were 2 of the things that really I felt were important to, be a focal point for the villages. And when I looked at the 4 options, I preferred the Excellent taller version was my preference. And I didn't feel as though the Everest display had any advantages over the Excellent lower one. I mean, it has a bit more brick, but I just didn't think that it looked as nice from my perspective. But either of the 2 Excellent ones were my preference.
So I'm going to share the screen. Is this the one you're talking about, Bonnie?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the daylight and then this in the dark.
Mhm.
Okay.
But as a second option, the lower version of the Excellent was my preference.
Oh, okay. So this one. This one?
Yes.
Yeah. And
That
that's very similar to what the West Elgin Community Health Center sign is too, isn't it?
think so.
Or it's the same style anyway.
So this was your preference. Okay.
As a second option. But I really like the tall one better myself.
Oh, okay.
So that's an extra $25,000.
Angela?
So through the chair, the Excellent Signs is the only one that actually noticed with the pixels or the resolution in their displays. And while big is great, if it has terrible pixels, it doesn't matter how big it is, it's going to display poorly. So, and that was the deciding factor for me. That's why I went with the Excellent designs. And I'm indifferent to whether you go with the height or the lower one to the ground with Excellent designs, but that was why I'm more preferential to leading to the Excellent one, because they noted the pixels, which gives me, with my background, a clear understanding to know that it'll have the resolution that I'm looking for. And I hopefully won't get complaints about poor resolution, because when you're driving by at 50, it needs to be clear for people to be able to see it. And that is some of the feedback that I've gotten in regards to some of the other signs around our municipality is a vote for a resolution and that people can't read it. So that matters to me when we're spending this kind of money.
Hey, Dressa.
Through the chair, I had a couple questions. Is it going to be a sign? I didn't see it there where it rolls by with the info, or is it just going to flash the info at us? Like as one idea?
No, so the sign comes with the software.
Okay.
And the way we program it, it might flash, it might, go from one page to the other. It's just, there's a million options.
Okay.
If
That's
the
what I'm just asking
information
because
will-
at the,
The information will be on the screen all at one time, though. You won't have to stand there and watch it scroll by
Yeah.
slowly to read
that's
everything.
what I'm asking. Because I mean,
Oh,
while
yeah.
the library sign, for example, is a great
won't do
sign.
that.
I'm sitting there going, what's happening? What's going on? As I go my walks. And then I do know the health center sign has a little bit of both sometimes. So that's just probably what they can fit, or if they have one idea and then the other connecting idea about how to say tap into their programs is the second part of their sign. So that's fine. I felt the same way as well. I kind of felt the excellent signs was great. I like the aesthetics of it. I kind of felt that the other one, I pulled my family, is is like a monument. It kind of reminds me of a monument. And the height of it, this is what brought me back, like not wanting it. But I agree that it needs to have the municipality of West Elgin and then separately the villages, because people don't say, some people say I live in West Elgin, but others say I live in West Thorne, I live in Rodney. So it would be good to have both, because that's the way residents identify themselves and where their community is. So I kind of like the excellent sign. Did not enjoy the first option, proposal A. It just doesn't seem, it stands out enough. It just doesn't have some wow factor to it. So yeah, I think it'd be worth, what would we do with the different, I missed about the funding, the difference of the funding. What are we going to do there? Where's it being pulled from?
So,
Sorry, I keep glitching today, so maybe that's why I missed it.
well, in my report, I basically provided council with the allocation of Ontario Invest money, where we're at currently, what we're planning on spending this year, and the ending balance. So let me just open my report.
Okay, I see it here now. I just went for the gusto to look at the options. My apologies. So I see that here now. They're all laid out.
So at that point, I did not know what which option council is going to go with. So basically, I made that calculation based on the assumption that we're going to go with the most expensive option.
Okay. Richard and I are being pretty quiet about this whole thing. I guess it's we've yielded to the ladies' expertise in their eyes of.
Well, really, yeah. My big concern is, whatever it is, will it fit in the place that we're given it? And will it? If it fits and it looks decent, I go along with it. If it looks like a pig's ear sticking, it's got to fit the place where it's going to be put.
I think the thing is, I think any of them are going to stick out a little bit, because the places they're putting them are pretty empty. But that's good, because people are going to look at it.
That's right. As long as it's not impeding anything else, and all they can see is the sign, that's good.
And Mr. Mayor, we're at the point where right now we just have to pick the sign and the layout. The next step will be bringing the company to West Elgin, and kind of they're going to determine whether the sign is appropriate for the area. And then if it's not, perhaps they're going to come up with other suggestions, and we're going to bring that back to council.
Well, I think there seems to be a consensus on the preferred sign. Are we at that point? I think there's an agreement from council as to what they feel is appropriate. Is that-
So is that the excellent tall one or the excellent short one?
I think at
Well-
this point, we just decide that it's excellent. That's what we needed to do. And they're going to let us know if they think one won't work, and that then you will pick the finalized design, correct, Magda?
Well, I think the preferences for the one. So basically, that's what I'm going to indicate to the company, and then, go
Or
from
the
there.
low, did you say the low one or the tall one?
Proposal A, which is the tall one.
Can you-
Am I
can you put
correct?
that-
That's what I had from my count from everybody, was everybody liked excellent. Bonnie preferred the upright. Angela was fine with either. Teresa liked either, or am I wrong on that one? Sorry, you only like the low one.
Oh, through the chair, I like the low one.
Low one, okay.
So we're kind of tied, so the boys have to decide.
It's like a paint color, guys, when you're,
I know.
which paint chip do you like, honey? Oh, anyone.
I'm fine with the low one too. It's, I can go with either.
Well,
Whatever fits best in the space provided.
Yeah, I would like the recommendation of what fits based on this space provided by the old tracks in downtown Rodney, and then in the same with the old tracks in West Lauren. Like, it's gonna be in the middle of nowhere, so
Yeah.
it's whatever they think will somewhat blend in.
Okay,
The only
Uh,
thing with the low one is that it doesn't have the wording municipality of West Elgin on it.
I agree, that's the one thing I noticed too, and noted it doesn't have that, so maybe we can get a better mock-up with that in it, Magda. I'm not sure.
Teresa? Go ahead, Tress.
Through the chair, I guess in a small way it does in the crest,
Right,
but it doesn't stand out,
not really,
So.
no.
but it is still kind of there in the crest.
You want to put those two back on the screen again, the low and then the high?
So this is the low one in the night and during the day. And then this is the tall one, night, day. And so the tall one seems to be 16 feet high. And the low one is 12.5 feet high, or 12.2 feet high. There's 4 foot difference.
Well, from my perspective, I'm comfortable with either one of them. Now, does it have to do both signs have to be run in unison, or the same message on both sides at the same time, or has their ability to be able to put general West Elgin information on the signs and then potentially site specific either West Lauren or Rodney information on the signs? Does the software have that capability?
I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor,
Well-
that I would need to find out from the software provider. But I can follow up on that.
I think if they don't have to run in unison, I think that there'll be more user to each village, and then have the ability to put general West Elgin information on it.
To play the devil's advocate, if we had the same information on both, so advertising something that's happening in Rodney and West Lauren and vice versa, it might be more of a drawing our community together, which to me is a benefit.
And I totally agree with you, Bonnie, but I'm just thinking of the flexibility of being able to do as much with the signs as we possibly can through that software. But it makes perfect sense to keep the message consistent, but to have the flexibility if you wanted to do something site specific. Is there intention to with the sign, keep it solely for municipal purposes, or do we have a willingness to be able to sell advertising to local businesses?
I think that's something we'd have to do as a policy, and you guys would have to decide what you want to do once we got that sign up, the uses. But I believe Magda wants the ability to maybe recoup some costs some of the time. But Sir Councillor Cameron also has her hand up.
Angela, go ahead.
So through the chair, I guess a question for the sign company. The lower sign is how far from the ground will the screen be? And will it be accessible for vandalism? If it will be accessible for vandalism, then I guess my decision would be I would want the screen higher up and away from the ground.
They both appear to be 5 feet from the ground.
Yeah, 5 feet's not, so both screens are only 5 feet from the ground.
It appears to be
So-
that way from the measurements.
Yeah, I thought
I
of
guess-
that as well, and I don't think we're going to be able to prevent, I mean, a stone can get thrown awfully high, so I don't really think that there's a way we can be vandalism protected.
The low sign,
Well,
the
I guess-
screen, the low sign, the screen is actually 41 inches off the ground, so just shy of 3.5 feet. And the tall
Sorry.
sign, the screen is almost 6 feet, just shy of 6 feet off the ground.
So I'm not very good at math. I'm sorry. I looked at them kind of quickly.
So the
What
screen
kind of-
is lower on the low sign. But even at 5.5 feet, like Bonnie said, I think that if somebody wants to damage it, they're going to damage it regardless.
So is there a like PVC coat screen over top of it to prevent people from being able to smash it, or yeah, I guess that's a vandalism question I have for them.
Kind of circling back, I think for visibility's sake, for the traveling public, which is probably the ones that are most going to see the sign, would we not be better off getting it up in the air as far as we could?
Yeah.
Depending on the year, there could be 2.5 feet of snow from the snowplows on the side of the road there that could almost take the visibility away from the sign. So I think we should consider maybe getting it up as high as we possibly could.
Okay.
So is there a consensus now that we get more information on the high side? With some of the questions is,
Yes, I
does it,
think so.
I would think that in today's day and age, that it would probably come with some type of vandal-proof surface on it that can be cleaned.
I'm gonna try to get more details to the next council meeting. However, with that being said, is council okay with me signing the contract with Excellent Sign and basically starting the work? The installation of the sign takes between 3 to 4 months. So if things go well, this project can be completed by end of October. Assuming that, we communicate with this vendor right away.
Well, let's put it to this, Madam Clerk, would you read the recommendation and we'll fill in the blanks as you know them?
Okay, so we're gonna have to alter that recommendation. Sorry, Meg, I didn't realize you needed to sign a contract. That needed to be in the recommendation. So that West Algon Council hereby approves the purchase of 2 electronic signs from Excellent Signs in the amount of $114,700 plus applicable taxes. And that council approves the CAO treasurer to enter into an agreement with the company, and that staff bring back a detailed design at a future council meeting.
Okay, well, I've heard the motion, mover and seconder for that. Moved by Leatham, seconded by Cameron, all in favor?
Just one question then. So is Magna moving forward with our preferred option being tall or short?
Are the costs the same, Magda?
There's a slight difference, not a lot. So
Or do you need that information, Magna?
is council okay, so the preference is for the tall sign. But if for some reason, the company's suggestion is the low sign, is council okay with the other sign?
That's,
Yes.
I think that's what they want to come back and approve in the detailed design as per the specifications of the company. Is that not? That's what I.
Yeah, it was a
assumed.
specification of the company and through the chair that I thought, and then I also thought that we were more leaning towards the shorter sign. That's what I just wrote down when we were talking, not the tall sign.
Okay, then I got the tall sign, not the low sign too. So
Okay. And then I thought we also have I wrote down here that you're gonna go and whatever they felt would look best or fit best in the space is what you'd come back and let us know about, and the aesthetics
what
of
I
it
thought.
and what would work. But if we could lean towards that shorter sign, then that's where, if that would be great and they felt that would work, then that's what we would come back with and work with. But if they felt the tall one would work better in that space,
it
I
sounds
thought
like-
we decided the
lean
taller
towards
would
the
be-
shorter one, I thought is what we said. That's what I have down at least.
Through
and
the
I
chair.
have the idea that Duncan and everybody was leaning more towards the tall one due to the snow and the fact that that short one is so much closer to the ground.
Yes.
Exactly. It was talked about vandalism and snow
Okay.
drifts, et cetera.
Yeah, and then I heard that they're 5.5 feet or whatever from the ground, but
No,
they're
I
not the
was
same
wrong on
height from the
that.
ground.
I
Okay,
was wrong
that's
on
fine.
that. It's 3, you said
3
3
and 6.
3 and 6.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I
three
thought
and
they
a
were saying-
half feet for the low one and 5.5 feet. The sign is 2 feet higher on the tall sign. But
Okay.
at the same time, it would be nice to see them actually put that, overlay that right in the area where it's going to be. I'm thinking Rodney the tall one would be fine in Rodney.
Yeah.
In West Lorne, you're placing it at the hump, right? So at the old railroad, which is elevated to begin with. And then that area of grass is elevated behind the sidewalk. That thing's going to be up in the air a long ways in West Lorne. And I don't know if that would look, it would be interesting. I think that you've chosen excellent signs to do the work. And I think it would be great to have them actually, whether they could supply a picture of what it would look like right in that area.
And that was the idea
It's
of the
hard to tell
detail.
when you're just looking at it on a screen like this, what it's going to look like when it's actually in place. I'm just worried that the one in West Lorne might look like it's 30 feet in the air, that people are, straining their necks. You figure when you're sitting in a vehicle driving, you're only, 5 feet off the ground, right? Your sight line is only about 5 feet off the ground. So to have something that's way up in the air, if people are having to look up to see the sign, might not be handy either. So
That's the idea of the detailed design in the recommendation. They'll come back. Meg is going to get some more answers and a detailed design of them in that the 2 options, basically, I think, in those locations. Yes.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
I just want to be clear before we vote. That's what we're doing. She's going to enter into a contract with them to get them designing it. They're going to get some more detailed information, answers about graffiti and the detailed location design and their recommendation, and that will come back to you.
Sounds good.
So now
Okay.
we need a
So
vote.
our resolution still stands?
Yes, the resolution still stands. It's just clarified.
Okay, now do I have a mover and seconder for the resolution?
You had a mover of Richard and a seconder of Angela. I
Okay.
just need a vote.
Need a vote. Okay, all in favor?
Yes,
And that is carried.
Carried. Now we're on to notice of motion, sir.
Okay, do I have any notice of motion?
hang on, I do.
Oh, okay,
Just find my page here. No, not notice of motion. It's an announcement.
So no notice of motion, sir.
okay. What's our next item here? I'm still trying to
That's
get back.
counselor announcements. So Counselor Rowe, you can go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to let council know that the Dutton Dunwich West Elgin Community Fund has been working diligently on the 2021 founding donor campaign. And we are creating a floor stand banner that would sort of just give general information about the community fund. And I wondered if we could have permission to have that visible at the Canada Day celebrations, probably at the meal pickup area during those events, if that is okay with council.
Anybody have an issue? I think it's an excellent idea. Seeing none, why don't you rock on with that idea, Bonnie?
Okay, sounds good. Hopefully the banner will be ready by then.
Okay. Next item up, matters of urgency. Committee and board reports, Housing Coalition minutes from June 15th and 30th. Any comments regarding those minutes? Or anything to add to that, Tressa?
Sorry, sir, before we get to that, Meg, you did have something you wanted to bring up under matters of urgency?
Well, this is more of an update and basically for council's information, but as well authorization. So it's in regards to the fish cleaning station. The project is 100% complete now. As far as budget spending, we are to budget. There is going to be a little bit of money left. And I was wondering, there was, when we were meeting with the Havens family, they indicated that they would like to have appropriate signage in memory of their family. Estimates have been received by the family. One of the signs that the family is requesting is the sign similar to what we have at the complex building in West Lorne from Women's Institute. That sign is made out of bronze. It's a really beautiful sign. The cost of that sign is approximately $3,700 plus tax. And I was wondering if council is okay and will approve the spending for that sign.
Only concern I have with a bronze plaque, if you travel around the countryside, you will find a lot of monuments that the bronze plaque has been pried off and been taken for scrap because it is such a valuable commodity. And I don't know how do you make sure that doesn't happen to any plaque that's installed. I don't have the answer to that question, but there's a lot of plaques that have gone missing. Richard?
Yeah, I agree entirely. And yet I do feel it important that we get a plaque of some sort, because the object of the idea of the fish cleaning station was to recognize the Havens family for the donation of the road going to the marina. So maybe we can think of something else with a lesser material that would be not taken. But I think if you put bronze, I think you're asking for trouble. It'll be gone in no time.
If it's
Sure, Bob.
indoors, it would be fine and dandy, but you know, being out in the open like that, some scrapper will spy that and say, I'll come back in the middle of the night and pick that up.
Yep.
A couple of crowbars and there's.
Sir
So
Councillor
maybe you
Rowe
can
has her
relate
hand up.
that to the Haven. Yes, Kamani?
Yeah, my comments were going to be very similar. There is a high risk of it being stolen with bronze. Yeah, I wondered if we could use a similar plaque to what we used at Joe's Bush and what I am hoping it will look like at the memorial, at the Port Glasgow Memorial Park there. It's a really nice looking metal. It's got a lifetime guarantee. It could be either on a separate little stand beside the fish cleaning station so that it's out of the way for the people that are using it. And it would tie in with the rest of the plaques that we've kind of been using the last few years. I think Ed Doherty did them for us originally, and he's still doing work in London. So that would be my suggestion.
Who's going to discuss that with the Havens family? Is that going to be you, Magda?
Yes, actually, I have been talking to Mrs. Newman, and this was her suggestion. And basically, I told her that I will discuss that with council. So yeah, we can explore different options. I'm gonna put another suggestion similar to what we have at Joe's Bush, and she's currently working with Ed to on the design and verbiage of the sign. So yeah, if he did the sign for Joe's Bush, I'm pretty sure it would be an issue coming up with the similar sign for the fish cleaning station.
Well, we'll leave that in your hands, Magna, and if there's, we'll see how it works through.
Mhm.
Everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just terrorized that a bronze plaque will be gone, won't be there long enough for anybody to read. Okay, matters of urgency, anything else? We need to discuss under that.
No, I don't believe so, sir.
I'm
Now
lost.
gonna- So now we're at the Housing Coalition minutes from June 15th and 30th.
Any questions, concerns, or anything you want to add to that? Beth?
Through the chair, no, it's all there, all the information is there. They're looking
Question?
to come to council in the future for some ideas that they have, but other than that, everything's there.
I have a question. There was
Go ahead.
through the chair, there was comment there about a trailer model on municipal property. And I wondered what location that was being considered there, and more detail.
Yeah, through the chair. So that's what they're coming to council for. So they're thinking the property kind of over by Heritage Homes to the side against the railway tracks there, that little strip of land sideways. So they're bringing the information to council hopefully next month or the first one in September.
Okay.
Just on that note, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Magna or Jana, but if for us, we have policies and rules in place for trailers for habitation, and I don't think that we can circumvent the rules any more than the public can. That this will require a minor variance to be
Actually, it would require a
established.
rezoning. It would require a rezoning. A use is not a minor variance.
Okay, so it'd have to go through a public process, the same as any other of our residents that would make application. Without that, you know, an individual could complain to our bylaw officer, and without it being there legally, he would be bound to probably issue a eviction notice. So I think it's something that has to be done the proper way.
Yeah, depend on the zoning of the property. I'm not sure exactly what the zoning is. And Councillor Talia does have her hand up.
Yes, Teresa?
Yeah, through the chair. So I made them aware of that. We actually had a meeting yesterday at 4 o'clock, and I made them aware of that fact and what would and could go on. So they realized this in their planning.
Okay, excellent. Next item up, council reports from committees. Just a question, we had a fair board meeting. Have you had any dialogue with the president of the Rodney Fair Board, Magna?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. There was just a number of issues, some, I can't remember what they all were, but it seemed appropriate that the president just contact you and you can deal with them firsthand.
Yes, there was, I had initial conversation about proposed events, but nothing was kind of etched in stone. It was just, at that point, they just had ideas for the next few months. So I'm just waiting for more, you know, for the actual plans.
I
Okay. Any
have a
other?
report.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll just report on the 4 counties transportation service meeting, which was held last week, I guess it was. I don't have the date down here. And it was referred to in the report from closed, but the committee did approve some incentives that were suggested by staff to retain the current driver on a permanent basis. And we also discussed bus capacity in that the day program, which is a large user of the bus, have increased their capacity to 8 people. And so we gave approval for the bus capacity to increase to 2/3 capacity, which is 8 people. And we did hear in our report that many bus services are up to maximum capacity now, so it certainly fits within the provincial COVID-19 regulations. So those were the 2 items that we discussed. That's my report.
I think overall the committee works very well together, and I think it's all trying to provide a service the best that we can to vulnerable people in our community. So maybe that's a good reflection on our chairman. Any other reports from committees? Okay, next item, waiver of fee requests.
So this is for West Sutton Community Health Center already has one. So this is clarifying. This is to waive for a separate program, to waive the fees for a separate counseling type program. Councillor Tellier does have her hand up though, sir.
Go ahead.
I'd like to support this waiver of fees during this time, anytime right now, actually. People just needing something like this in our community, getting out for the exercise, the mindfulness, mental health portion of it. And it's during the day. I'm not sure what the time frame is for use at that, if it's a high time use or not normally,
No.
or we could rent it out or not. I would guess not. But yeah, I'd like to support this request for waiver fees.
They did
Okay.
use it yesterday, just so everybody knows, but they need to know whether they can waive the fee or not.
So I would take that you're willing to move this recommendation in. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Angela. All in favor? That is carried. Next item up, accounts, that the mayor and treasurer are hereby authorized to sign payment voucher 7 amounting to $2,045, $2,045,304.70 in settlement of general road, water, and accounts. I think everybody has had the opportunity to have any questions asked regarding the accounts. That being said, I'd take a mover and a seconder to accept the accounts as presented. Moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham. What's the question, Magna? We got the money? All right. All in favor of that?
Yes,
That is carried. Correspondence, fairly lengthy list of correspondence here. I'm going to read them out. If anyone has any comments or questions on each one of them, bring it up at that time. Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing Municipal Modernization Program.
It's just telling everybody we got money.
Yep. Elgin County highlights of June 22nd and Elgin County highlights of June 6th. Any questions there? Seeing none, Elgin County's Wardens Golf Tournament, after a hiatus of last year, I believe they're looking at holding it again this year.
We have in the past sent a team of staff. It's up, and you've sponsored one. But other than, do you want to do that again, or?
Well, I think we could probably proceed as we have in the past. I think it's a good interaction between our staff and other staff that are there, that they see names and faces, and I think it makes for a good county team building.
So
Okay.
I'll need a resolution that approves sending a team of 4, which would be a total at 125 each, to register, or up to how many people you're willing to register. Council's willing to support registration for.
I think 4 is well, certainly I'll be looking after my own entrance fee and whatnot, probably at the county level, both for Norma and myself. We have a mover and seconder for that.
so seconded.
We have a mover.
I'd like to golf, but I can't. I'll be on vacation then.
Oh,
Bonnie and Teresa.
okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Yes,
That's carried. Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, Conservation Acts comments. Any on that? Anything, comments, questions on that? City of Woodstock, affordable housing crisis. I guess that's not new. Any action required? Municipality of St. Charles, municipal land transfer tax. Okay, town of Cochrane, include PSA test costs for all
Sir-
Canadian. Oh, yeah,
Sir, you missed the colored all-stars into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame from Chatham, Kent.
I'd like to support that one.
yeah. I don't have that one on my list.
I'll second
yeah.
that one.
Okay, and Teresa?
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes,
Carried.
Okay. Now we're on to that, the PSA
The
test.
PSA test cost for the Canadian,
I didn't quite understand why they were asking the feds for support. Wouldn't that be a provincial decision?
Yes.
So noted.
all right, Township of Archipelago Bill 228, banning unacceptable polyesters, polypropylene foam. think that's the styrofoam, is it not?
Yeah, it's the little tiny ones.
Okay, hearing no comments. Town of Aylmer, Elgin County Development charges, and Dutton Dunwich, Elgin County Development charges in their opposition, so I think that's no surprise.
Mhm.
Next item up, M. Brown drainage issues. Comments regarding that? Has that letter been answered?
No,
No?
So I guess since it's
Uh,
addressed to me for some reason, I can comment that I hadn't read this before, but at any rate, yeah, I would expect staff would respond back as far as what the drainage issue and flooding issue is
oh,
there.
she's been discussed that way. That has been discussed with her. It's just, we haven't formally responded to everything in this letter.
The masks in public places, you know, I would advise her that if she has a concern about someone not following the regulations, that she would be in touch with the public health, correct?
Correct.
So I would suggest that we could send her a letter that council has addressed those issues through staff or something like that.
Okay.
Well, I think you could properly respond to those concerns. Can you not, Madam Clerk?
Mhm.
Elgin International Club requests a letter of support.
So this is one of those ones, like I said, they're for their drive-through dinner. They are going to have, they want to extend the license of their patio out into their area for the parking lot. And they just need a letter of support from council. Are you comfortable with me going ahead and giving a letter, or on behalf of the municipality, is council comfortable with me giving a letter?
Sure,
Over and seconder for support.
Bonnie?
Teresa, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, I'll issue a letter of support.
Next item up, confirming bylaw recommendation that bylaw 2021-48 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on July 22nd, 2021 be read a first, second, third, and final time. Mover and seconder. Tellier and Cammert, all in favor?
Yes.
That's carried. Final bit of business adjournment that the council of the municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at
11:52 a.m.
all right, forenoon, to meet again at 9:30 a.m. on August 19th, 2021, or at the call of the chair. Mover and seconder. That is, moved by Lisa and seconded by Tellier. All in favor? That is carried.
Yep.
I got mesmerized by your ceiling fan, Bonnie.
Yeah, I thought you'd want to see my halo there.
Yeah, I thought, wow, that's cool. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I think we've had a very productive meeting and have a great summer till we meet again.
Yep. See
you
everybody in
very much.
August.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
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 Yeah.